good to notice things, you know? Maybe you find some joy in that. Nishant Chen, also known as the Sneaky Artist, makes quick sketches of his world inside a little sketchbook with a fountain pen. You can look at some sketchbooks he has over there after the main event. They're really, really cool. Leaving midway through a PhD program in neuroscience, he moved to America and started drawing as a way to explore his new world. His art examines the different ways cities enable people to coexist in harmony. Nishant hosts the Sneaky Art podcast, shares his work on Instagram, and writes a weekly newsletter that goes out to thousands of readers around the world. He lives in Vancouver, Canada, not Washington. Amy Stewart is the New York Times bestselling author of The Drunken Botanist, Wicked Plants, and most recently, the incredible book, The Tree Collectors. She's also written 7 novels in her beloved Cop Sisters mystery series, based on the true story of one of America's first female deputy sheriffs. Behind us, yeah. not the actual sheriff, but those books. That would be weird if the sheriff was living on the bookshelf. She lives in Portland. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Nishant and Amy.
Okay. Hey guys. Thanks so much to Broadway Books for having us. Is this on? Thank you. I guess so. I used to own a bookstore, and I can just tell you, as a former bookstore owner, the one and only thing that keeps bookstores alive is if you buy books from them. Yeah. Telling them how much you love them actually doesn't keep the lights on. So it's about to be the holidays, and giving books is just the best gift. Because they're affordable, they're easy to wrap, they're easy to ship. If somebody's already read it, they'll give it to somebody else. It's just like, I buy everybody a book, and you should too, and please buy them from your local bookstore. So that's my little pro Broadway book speech. The end.
So I also have a little bookstore speech, I guess. I love bookstores, and I love talking about books in general. So this kind of event is really amazing for me because I'm surrounded by people who are unbelievably obsessed with books that they would come to a book event, listen to some guy just talk about his book. I think that is so generous and so weird. I'm so glad that this is Portland where these things are normal. And I love telling people to go check out books. So I've done something today that I love doing at every bookstore I go to. I used to do this quietly, and now I get to do it at my own event, and that is such a fun thing about making a book. I've put some art near my favorite books in this bookstore, and if you find it, it's yours. So there are little tiny drawings near some of the books that I've loved reading, some of them this year, and they're yours if you find them. So anytime while we're talking, if you get bored, please get up and go find a little drawing. It's a tiny scavenger hunt, and this is my way of encouraging people to look through bookshelves because little independent bookstores are really cool. I think the best thing I like about them is that they are so individual. Like, they have their own taste, they have their own expressions, and they're not just decided by lists and big curated things by corporations. You really see the spirit of the people who run them, and that is something that's very human. And the whole point of this, meeting each other, talking to each other, listening to each other, writing books for each other, is also this, to be more human. So thank you again for being here. I'm so excited to get started.
Yeah, this is fantastic. So we're at the end of your book tour, and so you've been living with the book out in the world now since September-ish?
Late September. Yeah.
So do you think about it differently now that it's out in the world than when you were still writing it? And it was, I guess I always feel like a book is never better than when you first have the idea, right? So, and then you're in this process of kind of like disappointing yourself as you put it down
and
in a weird way, like, no.
Yeah.
But now you're on the other side of all that.
So I'm going to answer that with another book recommendation. I love this book. It's a little beautiful book. It's by one of my favorite authors, Jhumpa Lahiri.
Yeah.
And the book is called The Clothing of Books. It's just a little tiny, beautiful book about book jackets. So it's about her feelings when she sees the book jackets of her books. And she says exactly this, that never before has my book been more alien to me than when I see it the way everybody else will see it first, through someone else's art and someone else's art direction and someone else's decision for how the book should present itself. And it's not the thing I wrote until they open it and they start reading it, which is already, first impression is gone. So it's been really interesting to do this, because at one level I know that this has to be, that when you own a book, it's your book. It's not that author's book anymore. And being the author, in a sense, it's about letting go in that way. That now it doesn't matter what I think of it. And I might love it or I might not love it. And neither one of those feelings matter, because now it's going to have all these different lives in other people's worlds. So I just told you guys about how I love to give away art. And one of the reasons I do it is also this, that when you give a drawing to somebody else, you made it and it's precious to you, but now it gets to be in someone's life and it lives inside their world, in their home somewhere, and it sees their life and it's a part of the fabric of their world, and it doesn't belong to you anymore. Now it has a meaning to them, and that meaning very soon doesn't have anything to do with you. So it's maybe it's a generous thing. Maybe it's good that it doesn't have anything to do with me anymore. And maybe it would be bad if it still was exactly what I wanted. So I'm growing. This whole experience of writing the book has been one of growth for me. Learning how to work by committee, how to listen to people and not just be like, shut up, I'm going to do it my way. To take feedback, essentially. So over the course of writing this book, I learned that when I get an email from the editor, I am not going to like it. No matter what they say, I am not going to like it. That's my first gut reaction. So I must never respond. I am only going to respond the next day or 2 days later. By that time, I will think, they're not so wrong. Actually, I should do this. And actually, I agree completely. And they're completely right. And this takes time. So I've learned to give myself that time. And it's been a very good learning experience to appreciate what that can make.
Yeah. Well, so I'm interested, I want us to talk about something that we were talking about at the bar a little while ago about changing art styles. But to get to that, when you started on this book, because you and I talked about it a little bit, kind of in the early days, and you were very interested in this idea of like tiny people in a tiny world. And like, I think there was even a title at one point that was similar to that, right? And that was very much your jam, was people with a little bit of their world around them. And it was about being an observer. And do you want to talk a little bit about kind of what the initial impulse was at that time?
Yeah, so the impulse to start drawing came from, and I was talking to Dan about this, it came from being really frustrated with words. Because what I wanted to be was a writer, and what I wanted to specifically be was a political humorist. And this was my life's goal, to be India's Jon Stewart. And the first nail in the coffin of that dream was Indian elections in 2014. And the next nail in the coffin was the American elections right after that. To watch your heroes fail utterly, it made me think, what good are words? What good is a good joke if it can't even do this? And said by the best person I know, my heroes can lose to that, then what is the point? Maybe something else needs to be done. Maybe words aren't all that we make them up to be, and maybe they don't have that impact that we want. And I'm thinking retrospectively, I started looking for some kind of truth that nobody could deny, because I was living through a lot of gaslighting at that time. I would draw these web comics, which were political humor, and I would be met by pushback from family and friends, good friends, who refused to appreciate the humor in them because they were against their political party of choice. And it made me think, I need to come to a truth that nobody can deny. I need to say something that is just unequivocally correct and right and beautiful. And I think that was the impulse to start drawing. It also happened because I was in Chicago and I was an immigrant, in America, surrounded by people very different from me. Americans are very dramatic people. And I had never seen such drama. On the bus, in the cafes, on the streets, people really the stars of their own sitcoms in their heads, living out their main character lives, and I'm witness to it. And I thought, this is amazing. I need an excuse to stare because I'm from India and our national sport is people watching. So I wanted to watch the people, and I realized I was at this. All these two ideas came together. I was writing the 5th draft of my novel, for which I had quit my PhD program to become a writer, and I was stuck for the 5th time. And I was annoyed, and I picked up my notebook and my pen. I was writing it by hand because I thought maybe I'll unlock something if I write it by hand instead of typing it. No. And I went to this cafe and I sat down and I was just done with words. And I saw this elderly person in front of me, hunched over, reading a physical newspaper. And I thought, who reads a newspaper anymore? And I just started drawing them. And at the end of an hour, I had a bad drawing, but I had a really good hour. So I thought I want to push with this. And the sketchbook became this excuse to stare at people and to just try to understand this world in which I live. And so Tiny People happened because I wanted to understand the people around me who were such strangers, but I wanted to strip away the differences between us. So the drawing you see is after a lot of information has been taken away from them. You don't know what they exactly look like. You don't know about their face sometimes. You don't know about their clothing sometimes. But the point is that I wanted to reach into the part of humanity where we're all the same, because I was looking for how are these people not different from me? How can I relate with them from a distance? So I think these drawings happened with me trying to understand my city with respect to understanding the people who I was sharing it with, and trying to see how they are not just different from me, because that is so easy to find, but how are they actually similar to me?
Yeah. And now you're the citizen of a new country.
Yeah. I became Canadian this summer, and that feels very weird because I come from a country that doesn't allow dual citizenship. So I'm having a conflict of identity in which I have to surrender a passport and an identity, and I have to think about what that means, and what does it mean to become Canadian, what does it mean to not be of your home country, and how do you reckon with that sense of identity? Americans are actually uniquely positioned to answer that, because this is a country of people who came from somewhere else for various reasons, and then enthusiastically jumped into what can only be called the American identity. And every day, like, this is what it's like looking from outside, looking from India, looking from Canada. Like, every day America creates its culture. And every day, like, that's why they mythologize every decade. Nobody else does this. The 60s, the 70s, the 80s. America does this. Every decade has its identity. Every decade has its heroes and villains. Because it's like, you're a young country, so you want to create mythologies. And we are old. I'm from an old country, and the mythology's just been given to you, and now you just deal with it. Just fit inside it, and you don't get to choose. But America is like choosing every day and making every day, and that is crazy but so empowering. Like, I tell people that I critique so much about America as a person who came and started looking at things here, but in no other country could I have become an artist. It was not possible anywhere else. I've lived in Europe, I've lived in India. Only Chicago could have done it. Only America could have done it. So this is the place where that kind of thing can happen, because America is also the country where nobody tells you that something's not a good idea. Don't do that thing. Everybody's like, just do it. Yeah, make $1 million, just do it. Nobody tells you to stop. Nobody tells you maybe don't run for president or don't be this crazy. Just do it. Just live your life. Just express yourself. And so you get into all this trouble, but also you create a lot of beauty from it. It's a country of chaos. Creativity needs chaos, right? Don't you think so? Like, I think an idealistic world will not have anything creative in it.
Wow. Yeah. Well, so, all right. Well, this leads exactly to the thing we were talking about a little while ago, which is the book. Okay, the book came out in September. Back in July, we were at Sketcherfest in Edmonds, Washington together, and you were like kind of feeling frustrated and like, I need to do something new, I need something to change. And you were like right at the moment of that change. And so I think it's interesting that like these things have come together. First of all, the book is done, so it goes from being a thing that doesn't exist to now you're on the other side of it. And also this, you know, you had already become a Canadian citizen, but nonetheless, this process, you've sort of figured out who you are and where you are now, but also with your art came this change. And do you want to talk about that? Because I think this whole idea of like anything is possible is part of this, right?
Yeah, like, you know, one of the troubles of like, people talk about I talk to a lot of people about social media because I get a lot of questions about it, because one day I didn't do anything different, but my account just exploded and it became really big. And now I have a big Instagram account. And that is good, but it's also really bad, because the more invisible eyes you have on you, the more you feel like you need to just do the thing, perform for the crowd, for the audience, dance like a monkey, but don't do another dance, or don't do something you're not good at. And it became, for the last few years, a narrower and narrower path. Like, I can only do this thing because people like it and I'm supposed to deliver on that. And by the time Sketcherfest rolled around, I was really frustrated with myself, because I thought, I don't have any fresh ideas. Everything is going, unfortunately, according to plan. Like, everything is exactly what I wanted it to be. The drawing begins and ends the way I wanted it. And that's not fun. I need something fun. I need something to kick me. And I was looking for something that would do that, like something that would make me crazy about want to draw. Like, I don't know what will happen in this drawing. I need to make it to find out. And I wanted that feeling. So I started looking at new materials and asking everybody, just tell me what you use and should I use it? Why do you think I should use it? Can I borrow it from you? And that's how I started using this chisel tip marker. And now I've gone very far with it. A lot of ideas have come from it. But so two things. Firstly, I feel like I just spoke about it earlier today. We should not be in a hurry to narrow down. We should not be in a hurry to become finished products, because this is what Instagram and this world of Facebook and our online personas want from us. All the platforms want us to be finished products, because all the platforms want to consume us. You are just a content creator. You're just a person who makes this thing that people eat up, and then they eat the next thing and then the next thing. So just do that job. And we are not finished products. We are artists and we are human. And both of those are works in progress, and we are constantly figuring ourselves out. And you're supposed to be a work in progress, and you're supposed to be always learning as an amateur. So this year for me has, since Sketcherfest incidentally, has been about pushing myself to try things that scare me, to do things that make me nervous in front of that blank page. How is this going to go? Is it going to work out? That feeling is good. That discovery is good. And when you don't know and you just do it, that's when magic happens. So it's got me believing in magic again, which is so important today. Everybody should believe in magic. And I think the best thing it's done for me is that it's told me that there's so much to do. There's so much to discover, and you don't lose anything. You only become bigger when you move in another direction. So this fear I had that I'll lose my style or I'll lose the thing people know me for was so unfounded. And now I know that anywhere I go, it's always going to be me. If I go with my thoughts, my personhood, my skills, my idiosyncrasies, my mistakes, my gross misjudgments, everything together on the page, it's always my page.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody, I just thought of this. Somebody told David Hockney one time something he painted, and they said, "This doesn't look like a Hockney." And he said, "Well, not yet. Like just wait." But don't you, I feel like a lot of us, we get into this, like, I need to pick. Like, I need to focus on something. I can't get sucked into collage. I can't go over here and do wash. I can't, not acrylic ink. I need to not pick up one more thing, but like. Yeah,
you do.
All of the things.
Pick it up. Like we were just talking about this. This is the golden age of art supplies.
Yes.
This is the most common thing I hear from people is this. It is so hard. How do you decide to be an artist? It is such a hard time to be an artist. And my answer to that is, this is the best time in human history to be an artist. It has never been easier to have a dream, to chase it, and to maybe get the fruits in your lifetime. It has never been easier to get art materials. You don't have to climb a mountain to get a blue. You just go next door and buy a thing of 64 colors. You can experiment as much as you want. You can learn for free from anybody in the world. You can see all the art in the history of the world on your phone. No artist you love has ever had that privilege. You can make an audience out of nothing. No artist in the world, in the history of humanity, has had that privilege. This is the most amazing time to be creative and to push with it. It's never been easier and it's never been more fun. And I think we just need to really think about how much we have with that.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful time to make art.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. Say yes to all of it. I went to, did any of y'all see the Richard Diebenkorn exhibit at the Portland Art Museum several years back, like 6 or 7 years back? I remember going in and seeing these huge, beautiful ink drawings. He did everything. Beautiful ink drawings, and I just walked immediately to Blick. I left the museum, went immediately to Blick, and bought a giant pad of paper for ink and a big thing of India ink and a dip pen. And I was almost to the cash register, and I thought, you can't do this. Like, you need to take a class. You need to just get a little one. And I realized, like, this is my mother's voice. Or whose voice is that, right? Like, so I bought it all, and I went home and made a massive mess and covered the floor with all this paper and ink everywhere. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Like,
dig in.
On that note, like, that voice in your head, it never goes away. Like, it doesn't matter what you do, or how much you do, or how good you get, or how many years pass. That voice is always there. Like, you have that voice, I have that voice.
Yeah.
Rita, you have that voice, I'm sure, telling you, don't do this, or you're not good enough, or you're in, like, that imposter syndrome is always inside of us. So now what? If it's never going to go away, you just have to live with it. And I think the more you draw, the easier it gets to live with it.
Yeah.
Or the more answers you have for that voice. That page yesterday was fun. The one before that was also fun.
Yeah.
And you can say that. So one of the reasons why I wrote this book, and I really thought very hard about that, because I was so lucky that Quarto approached me for this book. And as soon as they told me that they want me to write this book, I immediately said, I don't want to do this. No, thank you. I don't want to write a book like this. I never want to write a book like this. And they countered back with, what kind of book do you want to write? And someone like me loves that kind of challenge. My reason for not wanting to do it is that I know so many people who've already written books like this, as I thought of it. What more can I possibly say? What's the point of me doing it too? Like, those books are amazing. Why me? I don't want to be another one on the pile. So the reason why I wrote this book, I made a list of reasons why you should do this. And one of the reasons was that I want to communicate how to make it easy to draw. Not how to draw, because you can learn that anywhere. I don't want to be the guy to tell you that. But what lowers the barriers? What lowers the cost of a drawing? The older we get, the more we build these barriers. Men more than women. So men are really good at this. The older we get, we only do the things we're good at. And that field gets narrower and narrower as we get frail and weak. And eventually our world becomes just sports and politics. And that's it, and that's it, and that's it. And the older women get, the more they want to play. They want to try new things. They want to experiment. They want to learn new stuff. They want to make a mess. And they don't it'll be fun. Let's do it. It's amazing to me. So I think what I want to do is counter this trend of only doing things when we're good at them, being afraid of being an amateur, and what I call lowering the cost of a drawing. To start a drawing should cost nothing. The most common question I get is, what is the best pen to get, Nishant? Which sketchbook should I buy? The materials conversation. And my answer is always, you should buy the pen you're not afraid of. The right sketchbook is the one you're not afraid of. If you're afraid of your materials, they're the wrong materials. You should not be afraid of your tools. The idea of seeing something and wanting to draw, there should be zero hesitation to get started. There should be no gap in between wanting to do it and starting to do it. What closes that gap? That's the right materials. What kind of drawing closes that gap? That is the idea that I want to share with you. That's the reason for this book. What kind of art can you make that closes this gap of, I want to draw, but should I draw? And the answer should always be yes, because a drawing costs nothing. It's just a drawing. At the same time, it costs the most beautiful thing we have. So I was at this event earlier this year. It's called the Aspen Ideas Festival. It's full of really big fancy people talking about really big fancy things. And one of those people was Brené Brown. And she was talking to somebody about AI, and she opened her talk with this word. She said the word attention comes from the Latin word attendere. It translates to stretch towards. The act of giving attention to something is this act of stretching towards something. And the reason to draw is not so that you learn how to draw. The reason to get this book is not so that you become an artist. The reason to get this book, the reason to draw, the reason to have a sketchbook is that this is an excuse to stretch towards the beautiful things of our world, the people, the trees, the buildings, the city we live in, and to engage with them and to give them the most precious thing we have, which is our time, attention and time. So one of the most profound things I've read in my life is by this Italian author called Carlo Rovelli. He wrote this book called The Order of Time. He's a quantum physicist. And he wrote about how time essentially does not exist. Time is just us observing things. If you are distracted and you don't notice things, time flies by. If you really look and observe deeply, time slows down. My whole life, ever since I was a child, I think I've always wanted to stretch time and make it longer. And I don't know if you read Catch-22, but there's a person in it talking about being bored all the time. And they ask him, why do you want to be bored? He says, because it stretches the moments out before I will eventually die, because we're in World War II. And I think I was always trying to do that. And drawing now is the best way I've found to stretch time. Attention is a unit of time, and time is a unit of life. How much attention we give to the things we love is how rich our life becomes and how long our life becomes, even inside the same seconds and minutes that we have as everybody else. So the real reason to make this book is, how do we live in a way that makes it fun and pay attention to the things that matter to us? And maybe by drawing them, we can stretch our time on this world and stretch towards the things that are beautiful to us. And if we all stretch towards each other, maybe we can meet in the middle and link, and it's not such a lonely world anymore, and we're not so disconnected as we are today.
Aww. Somebody order that on a pillow. Well, we need to get to questions. So while y'all are thinking your questions, one last thing for you that I feel like a lot of folks in here might be interested in. So there's a lot of people here tonight who are from our Urban Sketchers group. And so they're kind of accustomed to getting together once a month and drawing in public. But this whole thing is about like the, what's the word we should use? I don't know, but the feeling of hesitation about drawing in public. Is there anything you want to say to folks about that? And then we'll do questions.
Yeah, okay. So I called it sneaky art because I thought I needed to be sneaky. I didn't want anybody to see me. I would sit in the corner seat in cafes. I would draw quickly so that I could get out of there before anybody would see me. I would draw with a pen so that I could be inconspicuous, just one guy with one pen. No extra tools. I didn't use colors for that same reason. I don't want anybody to know what I'm doing. I have always had that anxiety. I still have that anxiety. So the first thing I want to say to you is, don't try to fix yourself. Ignore the self-help section of bookstores, even nice bookstores, because we are not here to optimize ourselves. We are not here to fix ourselves. We are here to live with ourselves. And art comes from broken people and incomplete people striving to make something perfect. One of the quotes that I use in my workshops is by a favorite musician. Miles Davis said this: once is a mistake, twice is an idea, 3 times is style. Style comes from keeping your mistakes with you, your quirks of personality, your idiosyncrasies, your anxiety, your hesitations, living with them and letting yourself express that too. If you erase everything that was imperfect about you, it would not be you on the page anymore. You would erase your entire personality from the drawing, from whatever you create. So the things that you think of as your mistakes, as your hesitations, your imperfections, are actually your superpowers that make it you and nobody else. So you have to keep it and you have to hold it and not kill it. Otherwise you are also killing yourself. And you have to put that on the page too. It never goes away. You just have to live with it. But if you learn to draw quickly like me and you do it often enough, you always have that counter thought. It's so much fun. At the end of every drawing is a dopamine hit waiting for you. Just get to the end as quickly and as often as you can. Keep a shitty sketchbook. Do 2-minute drawings. I talk about a 5-minute drawing habit in the book. Just 5 minutes, never more. Always get to the end in 5 minutes. Not draw for 5 minutes. Start to end 5 minutes. What does it take? The point is not to make good drawings. The point is to get used to finishing them and to get used to that dopamine hit. And then you will have an answer to that hesitation, which will not go away. But you will always be able to say, I have the good stuff at the end. It's just 5 minutes. There's no cost.
So good.
Are we recording this?
Actually, yes. I'm so glad you did. I hope it's still recorded.
It is.
Yeah. All right, what do y'all want to know? Who's got a thought? Who has a question?
I struggle with social media too, so I actually recently deleted almost all of my social media accounts.
Wonderful.
Have you considered deleting your Instagram, and why do you stay on it?
Every morning? I feel like I have to. So my Instagram started when I was an immigrant here. I didn't know anybody, nobody knew me. So social media was the only way for me to build an audience. This is one of the big positives of social media that nobody can deny. It is absolutely invaluable. That said, I wish I could get away from it. And my effort to do that is what I put into writing my newsletter. So every week for the last 5 years, I've written a newsletter that started from 30 people in my address book that I just forcibly emailed. And it's now grown to more than 20,000 readers. And it's the true joy. To talk to people in their inbox means that I wait on their permission. They only open it if they want, when they want. They read it if they like or they don't. And I don't feel like I'm jumping in and grabbing their attention like social media invites us to do to other people. So it's a very consensual system. I write when I want, you read when you want, if you want. And I'm finding that wholesome. So that has been one way that I've disengaged from social media, but not from sharing my work and my thoughts. So I invite you to think about that. Secondly, we were talking about this earlier as well. Also, social media is a virus inside our brains. All of us have it now. And the worst part of it is that it externalizes us completely. Any thought you have, any picture you take, any drawing you make, instantly you think, who do I share it with? How many people will like it? Will it be liked by more people than the last time? These are thoughts that take away from our creative force, our instinct, our enthusiasm, and they make it external to these, amorphous bodies floating over our heads, telling us not good enough, or not as good as last time, or don't do it like this, do it like that, or I'll judge you. And we need to get that virus out. And maybe quitting in social media is the way to keep that peace. But anybody who does it, I think it makes so much sense. Like, we can't live like this. One of the solutions I offer in my book also, and I'm happy to share it, is that maybe keep a secret sketchbook. Keep like a little thing in your back pocket. Don't show it to your partners. Don't show it to anybody. Never take a picture. Give yourself a space that after 10, 15, 20 pages, you learn to talk to it knowing that nobody else will see this. Allow yourself the privilege of just talking to yourself through drawings. Drawings are a very rich way to talk, by the way. Like, we're a very word-heavy society, and everything is words, everything is text, but we've communicated with lines and shapes for longer than we have with words. And one of the big boons of art in my life, one of the things it gave me, forget the skill. Its skill is irrelevant. It doesn't matter if you're good at it at all. It's not the reason to draw. One of the reasons, as a person who only cared about words, is that it showed me how much of the world exists outside of words, outside of being vocalized and translated into language. And language is such a small thing in comparison to how much of the world actually exists. And art is a way for us to engage in that language, in that vocabulary, whether it's lines or shapes or colors and values. So do it for all of those reasons. Don't do it for social media. And please, if you're happy quitting, that's amazing. I think about it all the time. I think it's professionally required that I be there, though.
I was talking to somebody recently, and they were talking about their pressure that they felt to have like beautiful sketchbook pages to share with the world. And it's like, I'm old enough to remember when sketchbooks were a thing that just stayed at your house. And nobody saw them unless your friends came over or you happened to be sitting in a park and someone walked by and asked to see it. Like from 2005-ish through back all the way to, Michelangelo's sketchbooks and before, those were not meant to be looked at. Nobody was looking at them. I just saw Beatrix Potter's sketchbooks in England, and they're beautiful, but you just had to be sitting next to Beatrix Potter if you wanted to look at those. That was not for anyone else to see.
Yeah. We are oversharing.
We're oversharing. Totally. What else, you guys?
You like to be sneaky, it sounds like. If somebody busts you and they approach you, how do you feel about it? Is it all of it?
So I've been doing this all over the world. Like everywhere I go, I have a sketchbook. I'm always drawing, much to the annoyance of people who don't draw. But what I've found is this is the one thing people appreciate, regardless of whether they actually appreciate the art. I've always been nervous that somebody will find me and they'll say something. I don't even know what they would say that would offend me so much or hurt me so much, but I'm always nervous about it. That's why sneaky. But every experience has been so positive because I think innately we know there is a difference between somebody coming and taking a picture and going away and somebody sitting and drawing, that you're giving time, you're here giving something. And a photograph feels more extractive. You came and you took something away and then you're gone. You didn't engage. But the fact that somebody would sit and draw, just look at something ordinary, I think at a human level, people appreciate that. I'm sure there are people who don't, but they don't approach you as often. So in my 9 years of doing this roughly, I haven't been approached by anybody negative. I've only been approached by people saying the kindest, loveliest things. I haven't been spotted by the people I draw. I have been spotted by other people around me, but that's because I also take pains for that to not happen. Like I don't draw somebody sitting right in front of me. I don't want them to be uncomfortable. I don't want them to feel like, they can't be themselves. So I'm attracted towards people who are doing something, so they're busy in their lives, and I try to keep them 20 feet away or so when I draw them, so I'm not inside their world. And I feel like it would be a little rude if I encroached like that, or they had to see me do that.
I feel like we're so lucky here in Portland that people are so unbelievably nice about, a Portlander bumps into a tree and they're going to apologize to you. Someone sees you drawing, they're just going to be so delighted for you.
Yeah, and this is everywhere. Everybody is so happy that you would do this, and even when they're completely baffled.
What else?
Well, so this summer you taught at the nature journaling workshop or retreat. Is that something you think you could see yourself doing again, or was that just
that was so I was on Bainbridge Island for a week leading a nature journaling retreat with John Muir Laws and Kate Rutter, and this was my first experience doing something like this, that I talk for 3 hours and then I don't get to leave. I'm going to have dinner with these people too, and I'll see them tomorrow as well, and then another day. So I approached it with a lot of apprehension, and I really enjoyed it. I think I took a lot from it. I am planning something. I hope to be able to talk about it soon. I keep thinking about the what and the why, because for various reasons of how I am as a person, I just don't feel comfortable thinking of myself as a teacher. So I'm trying to think about how I can frame it so it doesn't make me feel achy. Like I feel like I have the right to do this. So I don't want to teach a workshop. Maybe I don't know what I want to do, but I'm trying to frame it in a way that I feel like I have the space and the prerogative to do this, and I have something worth doing this way. So I am interested more in doing more retreats because I feel like the way we engage, the way we learn from each other, that is something that I truly enjoyed at Bainbridge Island. I really loved how much I learned from everybody, not just what I had to share myself, and how connections grew out of that time we spent. So I am an individualist, and that meant for the longest time that I was also a bit of a loner in my own head doing my thing, and I thought that's how I'm happiest. Over the last 3 years, 2-3 years, I've tried to change my world in a way, and I've understood the importance of being around people, and that's a good thing, and people should be able to talk to you, and that's not bad. So I've put myself in situations where I'm uncomfortable just because my first instinct is to say no, so that means I should do it. And that's how this retreat happened. Like my first instinct when I was approached was to say no, come on, a whole week. But then that's what told me that you have to ignore it and you have to do it. And I said yes. So I'm growing from doing this, from putting myself in uncomfortable places. And that's also in the book. Everything of value is outside your comfort zone. If you want to grow, you have to step outside. Maybe just an inch, but you have to step outside it. That's how our world grows bigger and our comfort zone grows bigger. So being at Bainbridge really helped me grow, and I'm looking forward to more experiences like that.
Yeah, I feel like if you never step outside of the thing you know and are comfortable with, you're just leaving so much on the table.
The whole world.
The whole world on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting too. I mean, I always tell people that, in order to be a writer, you have to not just be willing to spend a large amount of your time in a room by yourself, you have to prefer that. That has to be what you would rather do.
Yeah, some of my best weeks.
Exactly.
Just nobody in my life, just me.
That's
and
right.
my wife pops in.
Yeah.
And that's it. And
All alone? Yeah, exactly.
it's the best.
So, and then you gotta flip that switch and go
You
be
have
in
to
the
flip
world.
that switch and
Yeah.
be
Right. Be here with all of
this.
us.
Yeah, but you get to flip that switch. Again, the more you do it, the easier it gets. And I used to be petrified of the idea of talking in public, of being around people listening to me, but you do it and you do it and you do it, and you do it because you know you should do it. And even if you're not good at it, and it gets easier. So
Yeah.
I love being just by myself, doing my thing, and sometimes I change it up with coming down to
Right.
Portland.
How are we doing for time? Do we have time for more questions? Where are we at?
Yeah, we've got time for a few more.
Excellent.
Yes, Jason.
So I know that you sketch your son regularly. How do you think that's affected your parenting and your relationship?
Oh, I love it. So I knew I wanted to do this before he was born, because this is how I have come to. It's the act of drawing cities and strangers has made me a better person. I humanize the people. The act of drawing is a way of humanizing people. Noticing is a way of humanizing people. And so before he was here in my life, before I knew what being a parent would be about, I knew that I wanted to draw him because this is my best way of paying attention. And I started right before he was born. I was drawing in the operating room. I have that sketchbook today.
Right.
So you guys get to see it. I was drawing my wife in between her contractions. And
Did she find that charming? Or-
she was distracted. During the contractions, I would hold her left leg and her head.
Okay.
And then in the 20 seconds in between, I would sit down and start drawing again. And then get up and do that. And then sit down and start drawing again. So that drawing's there. My first drawing of my son is 3 minutes after he was born, when he was being taken away to be weighed. And then it's been every day since then. And it's helped me to see so much. Like, I'm sure this is not exclusive to me. This is my first time being a parent, so what do I know? But to watch the little micro things, how he moves, how he holds his hands, how he looks around, or his eyes, how they move, And to try to translate that to lines and shapes is a way of really looking and engaging and trying to understand those basic things. And in that, I find so much joy, like how he's exploring his world, how he's finding wonder. And so he's teaching me how to be less jaded, how to be less cynical, and how to take delight in ordinary things, and how to fall down and get up and just make a game out of that. So I think it's been such a rewarding thing. And so incidentally, that's the next book I want to make. I want to put together, I have hundreds of pages of drawings at this point. So I want to put them together into a book of parenting, of parenthood or fatherhood. Because I was just talking about this earlier, that men don't read parenting books.
Yeah.
I didn't. And women read parenting books, how to be a mother, and etc. And I realized, why didn't I do any of that reading? It's so important. And I realized no man does it. And this is just what being a man is about. We don't do this important thing. And then we are the lesser parents. So I want to write that book that works, that does that job, that someone like me would read, who didn't read a parenting book. And I want to bring those drawings into it, and I've written so much around it. So this is my next big project, the sneaky art of my son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned that first time you were drawing, and at the end of it, you ended up with not such a great drawing. Do you have any advice for somebody that struggles with the blank page and just the lack of confidence, that you want your first drawing to be like, Rembrandt, and it's not working? How do you keep going?
Yeah, okay, perfect. So there's a whole chapter dedicated to that in the book.
Okay, good.
So firstly, the act of getting started has to be instantaneous. What helps us do that? What helps us get into the frame of mind that we start quickly? We don't think twice, because we have the instinct. We know we want to draw something when we see it. But we spend a lot of time composing it, setting it up, putting down the scaffolding for the construction work. And I say don't do scaffolding. Just start putting the bricks together. So how a habit of quick sketching is not about sketching quickly. So I talk a lot about 5-minute drawings. I talk a lot about tiny sketchbooks and sneaky art, but that doesn't have to be your art. Maybe that doesn't give you the joy. Maybe what gives you joy is longer work, larger work, more deliberate work. Or maybe that's where your real skill will show itself. But nonetheless, in the book, I talk about how and why you should have a quick sketching habit, because that gets you into the habit of going by instinct, not leaving room for hesitations. The more you do this, the more you draw, and you make a lot of drawings just because you're doing 5-minute drawings, and that doesn't matter so much. It cannot be the best drawing. It's allowed to not be the best drawing. It's only a 5-minute drawing. The more you do it, the more you subconsciously imbibe that there is joy in the process. All of us know this already. We all did it as children. You drew, you painted, and then you threw it out, and then you did another one. You don't care where it goes. You don't care what happens to it. You don't want critique on it. You just loved doing it. And then at some point we become adults, and this sucks because we become results oriented. I'm only going to do it if it's as good as this or as good as that. So the process of putting yourself through this, quick drawings, is the process of becoming a child again. Reconnecting with the joy of process, of the joy of putting the pen, pencil, or brush or crayon on the page, and feeling that tactile feedback of how it feels to pull a line, and taking joy in that human experience, that physical experience, not just the intellectual act of making a drawing, but the physical act of seeing, translating, sending it down to your spinal cord, to your muscles, putting it out through your hands. And this translation from eye to hand is a neuromuscular experience. And that gets better and better, and you take joy from it, again, not just intellectually, but physically. From your body, you take joy from this process. Once you do this, it doesn't matter what it looks like. You could draw the best drawing and you could crumple it up and throw it away, and it wouldn't matter because you already got what you wanted. That 1 hour was the point of it. So as you tap into process, you learn to not care about results. And I encourage you to crumple up your drawings and throw them away. burn the sketchbooks at the end as a ritual. Have a nice fire at the end of the year. You are bigger than anything you draw. And you have to believe that. You have to trust yourself and know that the next time you do it, it will be better. You have to believe it regardless of whether it's true or not. Because you have to be, that blank page is a whole universe. And you have to be the master of that universe. That is the only way to approach the blank page. So there's a chapter about that too, and which I talk about how you should think about this, because you have to be in control. The whole point of it is that if you're not, then you're just going to be moved by so many forces that are outside your control.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, if another question, or we get to my favorite part of things, which is I get to start signing books.
Anything else, guys?
I do have one question.
Yes.
Oh.
You said the self-critical voice goes away
Yeah.
for any of us. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, it just becomes a friend. Have you read, there's this poem by Charles Bukowski called Bluebird. So you should all read it. Charles Bukowski was a dirty old man and an alcoholic, a product of his times, but he wrote beautiful things also. You should all read Bluebird. You live with it. It stays inside you. It's your friend. It just wants to keep you safe. And it doesn't know any better. So it's doing its best job. And talk to it. And you have a relationship with this voice, because it's there for life. It's always been there with you since you were a child. So it knows you in a way. It's an old friend who doesn't get it, maybe. But it's a relationship. You just work on it. And you learn to talk back. You learn to answer back. You don't get rid of them, because it's never going away. So the quality of the conversation you have with your inner voice is up to you. You get to control that part of it. And the more you draw, the more conversation, the better the conversation, the better the ideas.
So good. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was
Yeah,
lovely.
it was fantastic.